Hi, my name is Nicole.
Hi, my name is Julia.
Hi, my name is Diamond.
And welcome to the Dope Student Podcast. Who am I with here today?
My name is Don Miller, and I'm Chief of Staff for Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Welcome. And before we start, we would like to thank Councilmember Thomas, Isaiah, and Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for inviting Mayfair out to City Council. And first question is, can you start by giving us a brief introduction of yourself and what led you to become the chief or staff for Councilman Isaiah Thompson?
So thank you so much, and thank you all for having me on today. And it was such a pleasure to have you all in City Council. I love always having the energy of young people there. It breaks it up from all like the sad old people that are walking around. But no, so my name is Don Miller. I'm born and raised in the city of Philadelphia, and my current title right now is Chief of Staff for Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. I work with the council member right now for about 5 years, and I actually ran his campaign to have the seat that he has today. My day-to-day basically is I run the entire office. I take care of staff, I take care of the members' priorities, and I plan special projects and help complete the tasks that serve constituents.
What does a typical day look like as a council member, Isaiah Thomas, Chief of Staff?
So no day is ever the same. Some days could be really boring and I'm checking emails all day and just talking to people yelling at me about how bad the city is. Or some days I could be going on awesome tours of stadiums and go to Under Armour factories to learn how we can bring more businesses to the city of Philadelphia. So it definitely changes every single day.
As the youngest female chief of staff and council and podcast host, what unique aspects or expertise do you believe bring to our show today?
Thank you so much. So, like you said, I also have a podcast as well. That's why I'm kind of jealous of you guys' setup. And I told you guys, you got more subscribers than I do, so I'm hating a little bit. But no, I think I bring a unique perspective because, my whole podcast is about trying to teach people or try to make government more understandable to regular people, right? Like, I don't want everybody just to look at big headlines and not understanding what's going on. And I think that my show, and I use a lot of my experience as a chief of staff to talk about the issues in a different way that makes it a little bit easier for folks to understand and maybe even a little funny sometimes. So I think that provides a unique perspective because I think people are really left out of the process because it's kind of boring, right? No one is kind of bringing it down to their level or, making them understand how it impacts their life. And, a lot of my show is meant to do that too.
Your work seems to be driven by a passion for representing women and Black people. Could you elaborate on why these topics are particularly important to you?
So, it's probably pretty obvious. I am a Black woman, so that is pretty much, the main reason why. But, also Black people and women are some of the most disenfranchised individuals in the world, right? No matter where you go, not even just in the United States, in other countries as well. So, I think that is a fight that means so much to me. I actually taught English in Vietnam and was, able to learn from those communities and those cultures. And it was amazing to be able to support those people. But I really felt, a disconnect because I wanted to support people that look like myself because I really understood that journey and that struggle. So that's why.
You mentioned that there are many people like you in your field. What do you think are crucial aspects or challenges of your profession that students should be aware of?
So, politics is not very easy to break into because nobody wants to pay you in the beginning. And that's just the realities of it. Like, no one wanted to pay me when I first started off working in this space. Thank God I had my mom who was, letting me live in her house for free while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in politics. But a lot of Black and brown people, we don't have the option to not work when we get right out of college, especially if you have student loan debt like I did, like I still do. I had to work. But, and a lot of other people have that same, issue. So that is really one of the barriers is that you have to work a lot of time for free at the beginning in order to really break into the space. And that's why today, working with Councilmember Thomas, I try my best to pay all my young people that work for us because I understand that, our lives are much different than some other people who have the support of their family. And we need to make money. We have to work in the summer. I've had a job since I was 15 years old. So I definitely understand that. And that ends up being one of the barriers why we don't have a lot of Black and brown people in politics.
Your career journey is quite interesting, from graduating college and teaching overseas and eventually winning Isaiah's first campaign. Could you share more about this journey, including any keystone miles or challenges you faced?
So that's funny. So I actually wasn't supposed to be in politics. So I graduated from college in 2015. I went to school in upstate New York, a little liberal arts school called Hobart and William Smith. And I was going to be a lawyer. I just knew I was going to go to law school. I told everybody I declared political science and pre-law my freshman year. And what you guys probably don't know yet, but when you do start planning to go to school, you'll know that's really early and probably way too early. And I really set off on that path. But, I went abroad overseas and nothing went the way I wanted to, right? I didn't get into any of the law schools that I wanted to go to. I ended up leaving my program early because it was very bad. And I came back home and I really didn't even know what I wanted to do. And I had no job. And I was really lost. I connected with Councilmember Thomas and he ended up, connecting me to a few campaigns and races, and I was able to work and volunteer. And that's really how I started to build my name in the space of politics in the city of Philadelphia. And it really was just by happenstance that I got a lot of the jobs that I did, from working with Senate Democrats to then running Larry Krasner's finance side, the current DA, to then going to work with Councilmember Thomas now. So, I never thought that I would be here, and a lot of things had to go wrong for me to be here.
What advice would you offer to students considering a career in your field, especially considering your call for more people to join your profession? And how do they get started?
So I would say do it, right? Like they're looking at this room and, shout out to the live audience back there. It's kind of a little nerve wracking. I'm not going to lie. I don't even have as many eyes looking at me when I do my show. So this is a lot. But, looking at this room, like there is not a lot of people that like any of us in politics, right? Especially people who are young. And I think that is partially by design. And that is literally the reason why we are in the positions that we're in, because there is not enough of us in this room that are fighting for our issues, right? And I say to just do it. And I know that seems really basic, but there's really no playbook to doing this, right? Like Councilmember Thomas didn't have political connections when he started running. He was just a kid from uptown who wanted to make a change because he saw resources being removed from his communities, right? And there are going to be injustices that you all face or see on a regular basis that you can only address if you are able to join government, or if you are able to move some kind of policy or action, right? But your voices are being left from the table, so that means your narrative and your issues, and so are your struggles. So that's why I say just do it, right? Get involved. Learn about the campaign that's going on right now. And this is an easy year to get involved because it's a presidential election. So just learn more about that. How do those roles affect your lives? And really just start to do that research, and you can find a path. But I just say do it. Like, don't wait. Just try.
How do you believe real-world experiences like the one you've had benefit students making informed education and career choices?
Ooh, what? Can I read that?
Yeah.
Where is that?
9.
How do you feel your real-world experiences? Oh, wow. That's a deep one. I guess it just taught me to pivot, right? Like I said, a lot of the reasons that I'm here right now, because a lot of things went wrong. And, I am a planner. That is probably one of my greatest skills. That's why I work with the council member. I planned his campaign to win. But my thing is just like, I had to learn how to pivot when all my plans didn't go the way I want. And I think, with you guys' demographic and age and everything like that, you guys went through the pandemic at a much younger age than I did. So you had to learn how to pivot in a way that I never had to, but you had to continue education and learn how to keep moving. So, I think that is probably one of the most important lessons, is that things are not always going to go the way you want, but it's about how you respond to that and how you're able to move forward.
Looking at our classroom page, what particularly stood out?
Looking at your classroom page?
What stood out? What particularly stood out?
I mean, this whole schooling experience is like walking into a mini college, it feels like. You guys feel like you have a lot of creative freedom and flexibility, and I think that's really what stands out to me. I was lucky to go to a high school like that where, it wasn't like militarized and people weren't like, oh, why aren't you in your class? And it was very free flowing and allowed for a lot of creative expression. And I feel like that's what I feel with this energy. That's how I felt when I walked into the room. The way you guys talk to your teacher, even just building this project together, I think it shows, a level of creative freedom that you all have. And I think that that's dope. And it's going to serve you so well when you guys graduate. You don't even understand how much having this freedom or this connection or this ability to just take something that you created at this age with the support of your teacher is going to do for you when you graduate, right? Like I had teachers like that when I was at SLA. Shout out to SLA. And, I always say I feel like I can do anything I want because of that experience at SLA. And I think you guys are going to leave with that same experience. So.
We're intrigued about your podcast. Could you tell us its name, the content it covers, and what inspired you to start it, especially with your focus on lifestyle content and love for everything Black?
You guys really did stalk my social media. Okay, I'm dying. Okay, so my podcast is called Unabridged. It's spelled UNABRDG. And it's a journey to our whole unedited selves. That's literally what the word unabridged means. It means to be whole, unedited, and complete. And I started the show because when I was first entering when I first started entering politics, I felt like an identity crisis, right? Like you have like a level of respectability politics when you work in politics. People expect you to act a certain way, to be a certain way. And I felt like I wasn't using my full self. So, as I got older and got more comfortable in a space, I realized that when I was being my full self, when I was utilizing every aspect of myself, that was when I got the best results. That's when I made the best connections. And I just thought that a lot of people probably were going through that journey, but I also knew a lot of dope individuals who were doing the same thing, right? Like they were using their full selves, and because of that, they were making amazing things happen for their communities. So I really wanted to really just carve out this journey and show people that this is what happens when you're your full self. This is what happens when you step out of what people think of you and just really lean into every aspect of yourself. And then also I wanted to show the audience this is how you could do it, and this is how you can make dope stuff for your communities. And then also we talk about, some tea and some fun stuff in the beginning and do a little news as well.
Managing such a busy schedule and various responsibilities, how do you find time to relax and unwind? Are there any specific activities and routines that help you recharge?
That's a good question. So I am learning this year. I used to be like a crazy workaholic, which was bad for my mental health. But now I protect my mental health like a warrior these days. So I cut off after 6 o'clock. Like I don't do any work. I don't answer messages. Before I will be working around the clock. And now I just don't do that any longer. I love to work out. I'm a Pilates girly. I know that's probably kind of cheesy, but I do work out a lot. And, I spend time with my mom. I know you probably saw that on my Instagram. I spend a lot of time with my mom, but she's really my best friend, and we go on many adventures together. And I really just love to chill. Like I'm a binger. I will just eat up like a show in the afternoon. Like I'll watch a full season in a whole day. Like that is just, I can kill a show. So those are some ways.
We would like to thank Don Miller for coming out to the Dope Student Podcast. Before we end, we would like to ask if you can share your social media page where we can reach you out on.
So first of all, thank you guys so much for having me. Like, this is amazing. You guys are just so much for me. Like, I can't even this young man behind the camera right here. Like, this is such an incredible setup. So thank you so much for having me on. And please let me know if I can be supportive. And I do want y'all to come on Unabridged to talk about y'all journeys too. So please come on my show. Some of my socials are, my personal page is just _Don Miller on Instagram. For the show's podcast, it's just Unabridged on Instagram. So that's just UNABRD.